So, if you're a fan of Voiceless Voice and also like 2500k beaters, I think I have a really cool Genesis deck for you guys to play. We are talking about playing Voiceless Voice. The first thing I want to do, as always, when I'm going into a Genesis deck, I'm going for a points breakdown of the deck. And let's just take a look. I got some cards here that have points that are important for the Voiceless Voice deck. And yeah, it's not as much as the branded deck has, right? Which is a good thing. So we have it way easier here in this deck to decide, and we can also play some more non-engine if we want, right? The first really important cards I want to mention is right here. The Barrier of the Voiceless Voice has 33 points, which actually hurts a lot. And also Diviner has 33 points. So from the beginning, we cannot play 3 of those and also not 3 of those if we want to play them together. So we have to decide which is more important. I think right here, Diviner is not as important as Barrier, because without Barrier, we can actually not play the game. And Low has 0 points, so we always get to Barrier easily. So I think we won't play 3 Diviner. So the other question is now, do we want to play 1 Diviner and 2 Barrier? Then our points are completely used. I think this is not a really good decision because we have to play 1 brick for the Diviner, and also we have no Herald because Herald costs 50 points. We also cannot not play Nadir to have another extender. So I think from the 33 points we won't play Nadir because it doesn't help us at all if we can't play the Herald, one Nadir, and also Barrier. So I don't think this helps us. So I think I'm gonna put this out of the way because we cannot play this because it's too expensive. Then we also have another thing that we maybe want to play. It's Sauravis. There is also a solution to play this deck without Sauravis. I tried it with Saphira because Saphira is like 0 points, but Pot of Extravagance is 0 points, and we really want to play Pot of Extravagance in this deck, and Saphira conflicts with it, so it's not really good going first. We could summon it going we could summon it in the opponent's turn to just draw them, but we do not play as many hand traps in this format, so it's not really that good to draw the cards in the opponent's turn. So I think it's actually kind of important to have the Sauravis in this deck. So I actually want to have want to spend the other 5 points into Sauravis. So we cannot play 2 and 1. So we have to decide to maybe play 1 and then 1 of this, and then we have actually more space for non-engine. And then we could also play a pre-prep. We could also go for more consistency and say we play no Diviner, and instead we could play 3 pre-prep. This is also a redefined solution. Then we have like maximum consistency in this deck. So we only play 1 Barrier and 3 pre-preparation of rights. Then we're at 63 points, and then we can have another 5 points, so we're at 68, and the rest we could spend for non-engine. I thought about this idea. I thought it was also fine to do it that way. Then I went down from 3 pre-prep to 2 pre-prep. I tried it again, played some more non-engine, and then actually I thought about, okay, how about I cut a bit at the engine, I play some more of the other engine cards so I don't have to play as much pre-prep. So I went down to 1 pre-prep, to only have 1 in the deck, and also the 1 Sauravis and 1 Barrier, and the rest of the points I really wanted to spend on the non-engine cards, because I think it's really important to have in Voiceless Voice good on non-engine, so we are able to prevent a board or break a board, because the engine in itself cannot really do it. It's a really good deck going first, but going second it has some problems to break a board. So we kind of need some good non-engine cards, and we kind of need to spend some points on that. So I decided to play to actually go for a lot of points for our non-engine. So I only go for 33 plus 10, 43 plus 5, so 48 points for our engine and 52 points for our non-engine. So I actually spent more points into the non-engine. All right, now let's go straight into the deck profile. For our Voiceless Voice engine, we play Freelo. This is our, let's say, best card in the deck, and it costs only 0 points, so we max out on it. It helps us to play. It's our normal summon, it's our consistency card. Then we also are allowed to play free Saphira because it's totally free, so we can actually play the maximum amount. This also helps us a lot to find a place, and it's also really good with our other engine that I will show you later. Then this is not really that usual, but I decided to play 3 Skull Guardian of the Voiceless Voice because this is one of the choices I made to play over the second pre-prep, because this actually helps a lot if you draw it together with another engine card. So this is not a one-card starter, but if you draw it together with something like Saphira, this is like full combo, or even with just a ritual and the light monster. So I think it actually helps the consistency a lot and also the grind game a lot to have 3 Skull Guardian. I think this is a good idea in this version of the deck to play 3. And then I played 1 Saravis for the 5 points. I think this is really important for the end board to play. As I said, you could also swap it for Saphira, but I don't really like this approach. I tried it and the board was just not strong enough. If you only draw like the Voiceless Voice engine, you couldn't do enough. The 1 negate was not enough to withstand something like, I don't know, a deck like Fire King that could easily play through that. And then I play 1 Saravis the Old Man. I also try to cut this, but I think it's also really important for the grind game to just shuffle back your prayers of the Voiceless Voice, the ritual spell, to be able to use Saphira again, right? So I think this is important, and also if you play the other Saravis, this is a good thing to have just on your end board. Then for the spells, we play the Lonely Barrier, only 1. But then I decided to go up for the Blessing of the Voiceless Voice. I think this is a good idea to just play 2. You could even play 3, because this card actually also lets you play if you draw it together with Skull Guardian and another engine piece. So you could just special summon another engine piece, then use this effect, special summon Skull Guardian, then search. So I think it's really important that you have another target for low to lay into the spell trap zone, and also this one lets you play. So if you wanted to, you could actually play 3 of this card, but I think it's enough to play 2, so we can play exactly 40. And then the 4th card you can activate with low is the Radiance of the Voiceless Voice. So I think this setup is really fine. You could up it by a third or up this and then play less non-engine, right? You could do that, but I don't think it's a good idea to do it. I think also 1 barrier is actually enough to play the deck. It's not as consistent as it could be, right? But it's actually fine. Then we play 2 prayers. You could also up this to 3 to play more with Skull Guardian, but the problem with this card is that you have to tribute a light monster, and we're not playing so many light monsters, so sometimes this card doesn't yet let you play, but it's really annoying if this card is in your hand and then you use Saphira or want to use the other search card, the pre-prep, and then you cannot do it anymore, right? So sometimes I wish I have 3, but yeah, this card also breaks, so I only want to have 2. And then pre-prep to search prayers and also Skull Guardian, and yeah, only 1. And then the best card in this deck, Pot of Extravagance. Pot of E just really helps you with the consistency. So the consistency you lose by only playing 1 barrier and not playing Diviner of Herald, you will get back with the Pot of Extravagance. This is an exceptionally good card in this deck, and yeah, you also don't need your extra deck at all in this deck, so you don't really care at all what you banish. So you could also activate like multiple. If you draw pot with pot, you just go next turn and banish another 6 because you really don't care about your extra deck. I will show you later. I threw some random stuff in there. So yeah. Then for the secondary engine, I decided to play a secondary Regenesis engine because this deck kind of feels a bit empty, because you cannot play as much good non-engine in the Genesis format because you don't have a lot good non-engine that costs 0 points. So I decided to to compensate for the not much non-engine with another engine that fits kind of well into this deck, and we're playing a Regenesis engine. So I'm playing 3 Archfiend and also 3 Regenesis Code for the consistency cards. So those are your starters for the Regenesis engine. And you could play the Regenesis card, but it also costs 33 points. And this engine perfectly fine works without the card Regenesis. So we only use Code, and the Code is actually the best card in this engine because it's a 1-card starter that also gives you an interruption that you can use in the draw phase to play around draw and then immediately have a negate in the main phase. So I think Regenesis Code just carries the whole engine. And it also costs 0 points. And then for the other Regenesis cards, I'm playing 1 Dragon. I think Dragon is the most cuttable, but it's fine in this format to play because there are a lot of spell traps that you also want to banish, right? Then 1 Warrior. 1 Warrior is enough, but it's a nice interruption to also just get out with Code to immediately threat the board. Then 1 Sage. Sage is like part of your end board and really helps you to just have a negate on the board, right? And then 1 Birth. I think Birth is really nice to search. And the last card is actually Regenesis Lord. This is highly cuttable. I also cutted it in some versions of the deck. I don't think this is like a really good card, but sometimes it helps you to out big monsters, and also it helps you sometimes to just go for a game. And the other really important thing is, I told you before that sometimes you need a light monster for prayers. If you only have like prayers, Skull Guardian, and I don't know, Regenesis Archfiend, right? You need the Regenesis Lord because he's light. So in this case, if you have something like those 3 cards, you just show the Skull Guardian because he's 2/500 defense, then you can special summon the Regenesis Archfiend, then you can search for the Lord, banish the Archfiend, special the Lord, set the Birth with the Lord or the Code, and then you can attribute the Lord for the prayers of the Voiceless Voice to just go for the Skull Guardian, then start your combo. So I actually kind of think it's important to bridge into the Voiceless Voice engine if you have the prayers in hand to have the Regenesis Lord because he is specifically light, right? For the other cards, it works with Saphira, and it also works with the Blessing because those don't need light monsters. So if you have like Regenesis Warrior or Archfiend or whatever, you could go like, if you have those 2 cards in hand, you could go like Archfiend, show Skull Guardian. First you have to activate Blessing, right? But you could go just like Archfiend, show Skull Guardian, special summon, effect to search, then effect to summon the Skull Guardian, special summon the Skull Guardian, search for Code or something like that. So this actually works, right? Also, the synergy between those engines is really kind of nice because you have Saphira with 2500 attack, which you can show for the Archfiend, and you have Skull Guardian with 2500 defense, and you also special summon the Skull Guardian, so you can you can special summon the other cards, right? So those engines really work fine together and they help each other. Then we're getting to the non-engine. The first thing I'm talking about is the free non-engine. I just played 2 DD Crow and also 1 Effect Whaler. This one costs 7 points. You will see in a second why I decided to play it like that. Then we have 3 Drone Lockbird, 5 points each. And then we can play a playset of a 10-point card. You have 2 really good options. The first option is evenly matched, and the other option is Nibiru. Both cost 10 points. You cannot play both, right? You could play like a mix-up of those cards, but I recommend playing either of those cards. Nibiru is exceptionally good because it prevents the opponent from having a board, and nobody in Genesis format plays around Nibiru. And it's also a light monster and a high-level monster that you can tribute for your ritual monsters to make to special summon them on the board. Even if you used it, you can still tribute it from the field. So I think it's a deck. It's a card that really fits the deck nicely, and also it helps you sometimes if you play against your worst matchup, which is unfortunately Vanquished Soul. I have some stuff in the side deck against that. Nibiru could actually remove their board, right? So they won't get their trap in the end phase, and they definitely play into Nibiru. And a lot of people now play the pure version where they don't even play Ripper, and they just play some cards for the Pot of Extravagance to banish, and then they easily play into Nip because nobody plays nobody plays around Nip in this format because there's just not a lot of Nip walking around. But the contra is that there are also a lot of decks that do not lose against Nip, right? And to play it in the main deck is a bit of a risk. I don't play it in the main deck, but it's a recommendation. You could play it, right? It fits the deck very well, and as you feel like the meta shifts, right? More combo decks are played. Nibiru is a really strong card against it, and I would say just keep it in your mind that you could play it. My choice actually fell to Evenly Match because I think Evenly Match is an exceptionally good card in this format. It really, really easily breaks board, and this deck needs a card that breaks board, and it gets rid of nearly everything, right? And there's not a lot of Omni Negates walking around, and nobody expects Evenly in the main deck. So this could really come strong, right? It also comes strong. I tried it a lot in my decks, and it really worked out really well. But yeah, as I said, you could also try Nibiru. This is fine. And another thing with Evenly is you could actually just top deck it with Pot of E, right? So if it's your turn and you top deck with Pot of E 2 cards and it's Nibiru, this doesn't help. But if you draw into an evenly matched, you actually feel kind of good. Yeah, so that's it for the main deck. Now I'm gonna show you side deck and extra deck. Main deck was exactly 40. We're playing 15 cards in the extra deck. Yeah, the extra deck really doesn't matter at all because you will not summon it. I just threw in some random XYZs because that's the only thing you could play. There's no link monsters. Gears sometimes comes up because you have some level 8 monsters. You have the Regenesis Archfiend and also the Regenesis Dragon. Those are level 8, so you could build the Dingirs to break a board. You also have the Sky Prison. Sometimes this can be good against graveyard decks that special summon them, and it also cannot be destroyed. Yeah, this doesn't really matter too much. And I also play some rank 7s. I play Dracossack, I play the Dark Armed Dragon and the Blaze, and yeah, number 76 and Super Quantum Mech. This one can negate a monster on the field. This one can make it indestructible because of the things that it has attached. And you could attach something from the opponent's graveyard, so this can help against decks that destroy a lot. And those cards basically just destroy cards by yourself. So yeah, this is number 76 and this is the Super Quantum card, but those don't really matter too much. The most of the time you just banish them with the pot. This could also be like anything else. It doesn't really matter, right? And the last 5 cards, I ran out of good rank 7 and rank 8s because actually Hope Harbinger and like the number 90 Galaxy Eyes, they cost points, and I don't want to spend any points in the extra deck because they do not those do not matter. So I just decided to play some targets if the opponent uses Maximus. Yeah, those could be anything, right? This does not really matter because in this version of the deck I decided not to play the Ultimate Slayer. In the side deck, you could play the Ultimate Slayer in the side deck, so then you just, if you play Ultimate Slayer in the side deck, you just max out on all of those. You just play 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, and then your extra deck is full, right? So you always have some targets left to send for the Ultimate Slayer. Yeah, but this is the extra deck. It actually in this version doesn't really matter at all. Now we go for the side deck, and I have some spice in here. Yeah, I'm just going for the easy cards first. It's Cosmic Cyclone. I think this should be in every side deck because it helps against a lot of matchups, Fire King and stuff like that. And you just play against some prep matchups, so you want to have Cosmic Cyclone or even Twin Twist or something like that. But you don't really like to discard cards in this deck, so I recommend playing Cosmic Cyclone. Then you play Dragon's Mind. This card is actually 0 points, and it's really, really strong in your deck because you have 2500 bodies, and yeah, you have the Regenesis engine, and also it also works with your Skull Guardian, right? Because it has 2500 defense, so you can just have one of the engines and Dragon's Mind, and then you just have a super strong board. I never lost when I had Dragon's Mind face down, so this card really makes your end board super strong. And then you might also note from my other deck profile, I'm playing Flying Sea because there are a lot of ridiculous XYZ decks in this format. Yeah, I don't want to explain this any further, but you should play Flying Sea to just lock them out, right? So this is a really good card to play in this format. And then I have some controversial cards. I don't know if this is like the right way to approach this deck, or if you just should play the Ultimate Slayer over it, but I decided to play purely Happy Memory. This card is here because it says I can target one card on the field, and until the end of the next turn, when it's the first time destroyed, it is not destroyed, right? And this is the only part you care about. The other effects literally do not matter because you cannot use it. This is just here because you have a big problem with pops. This deck has a really, really big problem. If you go second, or even if you go first, if you go second and you start with your Regenesis cards and they constantly just pop your 2500k body, you cannot establish your board. So you can just, for example, protect the Regenesis Archfiend to just then establish your Regenesis Warrior or your Regenesis Sage to have negate. So I think this works actually kind of well for that. And the other way is if you start with your low and you go for your barrier, right? You only have the one barrier, so you want to have this on the board, and you want to have the search. And people started to play Ogre. It's only 5 points, so yeah, you could play Ogre in this format. And also if you play into a Fire King board, and also if you play into Vanquished Soul, right? Vanquished Soul, just it's a really strong deck, and it also pops your cards. And yeah, there's a lot of ways to remove your barrier. So to have this one in against decks that destroy a lot can help you to just play your cards. And if you actually established your board, you can break it, but this deck loses against destruction a lot, so this card is here to help. And it's also not once per turn, so yeah, you cannot target the same card twice because it says the first time that this would be destroyed, it's not destroyed, so it doesn't do a lot if you target it twice. But if you have two of those and you have low and then also barrier, you could protect both cards for the first time being destroyed. So I think this is really important because it helps you to protect monsters and also your continuous spells. So I decided to try this. Sometimes it came good, sometimes it wasn't really good. And that last card is Ceremonial Bell, because you have a big problem against Vanquished Soul. If you go first, you could beat the deck, but if you go second, you just have no chance of breaking this board, because Evenly doesn't help you. If you have a draw, you have like a slight chance. So yeah, but the deck just cooks you. So you just go normal summon Ceremonial Bell, both players keep their hands unrevealed, so they cannot use any effects anymore. And you don't really need your normal summon to play. If you have your Regenesis cards, you don't need them at all. And if you have your Skull Guardian and another starter, right, you can play without normal summoning low. But yeah, this can be a bit iffy, right? But there is not a better card against the Regenesis deck. You could also play the Trap, but as I said, going first, it's not a big problem. Going second is the big problem. And if you play the Trap that reveals everything, it comes too late. So you need this in your turn. So I think Ceremonial Bell is actually fine to play. The thing is, if you then actually can establish your board, you can also keep this, because if you have low Skull Guardian, and then the barrier on the board, they can only attack into the Skull Guardian, so they cannot run over the bell. So I think this is actually fine to play. I tried it. It works sometimes, other times it doesn't, but yeah, if you go second, if you do the die roll against the Vanquished Soul decks, this is a super hard matchup. This can sometimes help you that it's a bit easier and that you can actually play the game. Alright, this is it for the deck profile. Thank you so much for watching. Leave your opinions in the comments. I'm gonna read them all, and I'm gonna sign out for today. Thank you a lot. Bye bye.